Hi, Pocket! The Sealed Dragon Cloth, the coolest single cosmetic armor in Monster Hunter Wilds since the Sakura Tide Bracers. With the first dye slot changing the main slot and the second changing the glowy underside, this headpiece looks so cool. In order to obtain it, there is an event quest, Running Wild, to hunt a Guardian Fulgur Anjanath, which will reward you with some Sealed Dragon Cloth. It takes 3 Sealed Dragon Cloth to make the armor, though it might take a hunt or two to get enough. Crafting it unlocks the cosmetic, and then you're golden, ready to hit the runways of wilds and make monsters and hunters alike double take at your suave scarf swagger, flowing in the wind. Quick tip for hunting GF Anja, there's plenty of elemental pods in Wyberia that can be fired at the Wilk, which it creates with some of its moves. Each elemental pod does a different type of blast, but I prefer the ice ones the most because they usually knock Anja down and they do a bunch of damage. After all, ice is one of GF Anja's weaknesses. But what does the Sealed Dragon Cloth actually do? It's a Rarity 6 armor with 3 points of dragon resistance and 2 points of resentment, with no slots at all, making the armor uncustomizable. Because dragon resistance is a tier 1 deco slot, and resentment is only a tier 2, the CGR of this armor is 2 tier 2s and 3 tier 1s. Not fantastic, but pretty on par with Rarity 6 armors. It also doesn't have a set or group skill, so that's a pretty nasty hit. So why would you ever use this armor? And with what weapon? We can look into dragon resistance first. There are plenty of monsters that do water damage, fire damage, thunder damage, so on, but not that many that deal dragon damage. The most notable is Arkveld, who is kind of the baddest boob on the block. Arkveld's got some massive dragon explosions that do a bunch of damage. Not to mention, a lot of the strong armors that many builds are utilizing, like the Zoshia and Arkveld pieces, have very low dragon resistance, meaning they'll get hit a lot harder by Arkveld's attacks. Generally speaking, if a monster is weak to the dragon element, its armor will be similarly vulnerable to the dragon element, and there are plenty of monsters weak to dragon, especially the strong ones. Dragon resistance is a tier 1 decoration slot, so it's not hard to fit in if you want it, but you generally won't be getting it from gear unless you're rocking Doshagama? That's weird, why is Doshagama so resilient against Arkveld? Any of the elemental resistances at level 3 also grant 10 flat defense. This means that the Sealed Dragon Cloth is always 10 defense higher than it looks. This does a great job of making up for the low rarity of the armor. Normally, Rarity 6 armors can only reach 74 defense at maximum upgrades, whereas Rarity 8s can reach 82 defense. With a bonus 10, a maxed Sealed Dragon Cloth can reach 84 defense, higher than a Rarity 8. Pocket, defense is a crutch. I just never get hit. Sure, but never getting hit is not the same thing as never taking damage. Under certain conditions, and with certain weapons, a hunter can take plenty of damage without ever truly getting hit, and that leads to the second skill the scarf gives the hunter, 2 points of resentment. Resentment has 5 levels, with each one giving the hunter 5 attack whenever they have red recoverable HP, which is created when the hunter takes damage. At max level, this gives the hunter a hefty 25 attack boost. Over time, as long as the hunter doesn't take more damage, this red health will regenerate. Even a perfect hunter takes some damage every now and again, and resentment helps reward the hunter with more precious damage when playing aggressive in those situations. Weapons like Greatsword, Lance, Charged Blade, and Switch Axe benefit greatly from resentment. Weapons with counters, guards, and even offsets will occasionally take little bits of damage while performing these actions, which can activate resentment. And anything with super armor, which refers to an attack where the hunter gains temporary knockback resistance, will get plenty of red health. Because of this, I love running resentment on Greatsword. Tackling during a charge grants super armor, which activates resentment if we get hit during that, letting those huge charged attacks hit even harder when they do come out. With a guard and an offset, there's plenty more opportunity for Greatsword to get their health bar chipped at, which is a good thing for us in this case. Now that we know a monster that deals dragon damage and a weapon that benefits from resentment, we can seek out a situation in which the sealed dragon cloth would be most useful, fighting Arkveld with Greatsword. So let's go do that for a while. Because I wanted to showcase the armor build specifically, I chose a generic Greatsword, raw damage, nothing special. I'll put a display on the screen to signify when resentment is active. You'll be seeing some additional damage numbers coming out too. These are due to a different way we can buff resentment, Nu Udra's set bonus, Bad Blood. While resentment is active, we get to deal extra damage. This is one of the best ways to increase the effectiveness of our resentment. Unfortunately, sometimes we'll do a little too well, and that red health will recover itself. Silver lining, we have more health, so we don't get carded, I guess. Speaking of recovering the health automatically, there is a tier 1 armor skill called Recovery Speed that increases the rate at which the hunter recovers that red health. It has 3 levels, and at maximum, it quadruples the rate, making our red health turn into green health very quickly. While this is great for not dying, or with Zoshia's super recovery set bonus, when it comes to keeping resentment active, this is actually a pretty big downside. Because of this, these 2 armor skills, resentment and recovery speed, have some heavy anti-synergy with one another. There's another skill called Counter Strike, another tier 2 armor skill that temporarily increases attack when knocked back. This can happen when guarding some strong attacks, as well as when we get hit by any old attack, meaning it will often activate alongside resentment. With this build, I have a single point of Counter Strike, which is nice to see when it activates, but it doesn't last long. The duration of Counter Strike's attack buff goes up with more points. Rocksteady Mantle is another great aid for resentment. Obviously, resentment can find use on any weapon, as long as you're taking damage to form that red HP. Rocksteady gives every weapon access to a great deal of super armor, allowing them to ignore knockbacks and greedily swing wildly at monsters. Alas, getting hit this much can lead to a stun. This is actually the first time I've been stunned like this in Wilds. That's why, if you plan on using Rocksteady Mantle, I suggest maybe investing a few points in Stun Resist, another tier 1 armor decoration, to make sure that doesn't happen to you too. Flinch Free is another good one, another tier 1 armor decoration. Most monsters have tiny attacks, and Arkveld has this mini bite. These little moves can stagger hunters slightly, which can be more annoying than a Balakji grapple. With a point of Flinch Free, it becomes ignorable, and a cheap way for us to activate our resentment. With 3 points of Flinch Free, the ability to ignore certain moves expands a lot, and it can be genuinely surprising what the hunter is able to brush off. They still take full damage, of course, but for the sake of resentment, what's a cart? Bad Blood resentment is too powerful for those concerns. There are other creative ways to achieve red health as well. In the Oil Well Basin, if the hunter isn't protected from the heat, their health will drain, which provides them with a constant stream of red health, except it's not recoverable, because it's always draining. It's infinite. Delicious, infinite pain, draining my health away. Oh joy. I've always loved builds that benefit from spending their health like damage currency. Zul Jin was a lot like that in Heroes of the Storm. A ranged assassin, he got more attack speed for every % of missing life, and he could spend a percentage of his HP with every attack. So cool, and by the time you're 1 health, you're firing axes like a machine gun. Olaf's like that in League of Legends too, but he has lifesteal built into his kit, not life drain, so it's a little less heroic in my eyes, but still cool, still brave, just less brave. Using Greatsword with the Sealed Dragon Cloth and 4 pieces of Nu Udra's beta set, I had a lot of fun playing with resentment. Hard investing in a skill like this can be really interesting, and while I knew what resentment did, I learned a lot while I was making and playing around with the build. While I hardly think the scarf is a useful headgear, it's cool, and in this specific circumstance against Arkveld with Greatsword, it's pretty good. Rarity 8 armors are going to tend to be more flexible and have higher CGRs. It's very hard to compete with other gear when a piece has absolutely no slots. especially when there's a headgear like Zoshia's with a collection of huge decoration slots. The main benefit of the scarf, of course, is the fashion statement. People have been excited for the scarf for a while, and as a Kimura lover from Rise, I'll take scarves in any form. Do you use Resentment? Any cool uses you found for it? I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, thank you for watching, good luck fellow hunters, and goodbye.